I want to take a little bit of a dive into personal aesthetics, something I had mentioned in previous episodes, but I think it's really important to understand this thing within us that we're always trying to satisfy that is unique to us, but it can be challenging when we deal with with other people whose aesthetics are different than ours. So, for instance, one day years ago, I heard about the singer Abby Lincoln. She had just passed away, but somebody on Facebook shared a song of hers called Throw It Away. I'd never heard of it, but this person shared it, and I thought it was really beautiful. I loved the lyrics. I liked the way she did it. It was a re-recording of she did it as an older singer or something she had made very famous when she was younger. Anyway, discovered the song, loved it, and was listening to it in my kitchen. And it just finished listening to it for like the second or third time when my wife came in. My wife and I Wife's an artist like me, a writer like me. She loves music. She loves stories. And there's a lot we agree on. We agreed we want to be together, for instance. But she came in and I said, Jen, listen to this. And boom, I hit play. The song starts playing and she hears it and she goes, oh, God. Oh, God, I hate it. I hate it. Turn it off. Turn it off. Please turn it off. It was like I was watching her listen to blackboard nails being scraped on a blackboard. It made me laugh, actually, because her reaction to it was so strong and so intense. But I still loved the song, still loved it. I immediately bought it so I could listen to it whenever I wanted to. I learned how to play it on the piano so I could do my own version of it. The fact that she didn't like it did not change my fact that I did like. And I've always been pretty fussy about music, I admit. And I was a child of the 70s and 80s, but really I grew up in the 80s, was a teenager in the 80s, loved music, but I didn't really like the music of the 80s, truth be told. The stuff I really liked was recorded in the 60s and 70s much more. And so I was pretty picky about the stuff that turned me on. And so there was a lot of music produced at that time that I didn't like, particularly, and I'm sorry if you like these people, but I didn't like Huey Lewis and the News. I just really didn't like anything they did, but they were pretty popular. Anyway, one day I'm waiting tables, back when I was waiting tables, and I come up to this group of four people, what we called a four top. And one of the people, this guy, was sort of holding forth and he was leaning over the table and he was very intense. And he was talking and he said, because listen, if there's one song in the world that I don't think anybody cannot like, that I think everybody has to agree is just a great song, it's The Heart of Rock and Roll is the Beaten by Huey Lewis and the News. And I'm standing there and I hear that. And oh, did I want to raise my hand and say, counterpoint, I hate that song. I always hated that song. And I did. I really didn't like that song. It epitomized everything about the 80s I didn't like. Well, I didn't say that because I wouldn't want to. This guy loved that song so much, he couldn't, in his imagination, picture someone not liking it. He couldn't put that together. But the truth is, no matter how much you love something, there's someone who doesn't love it. And so it's relatively easy. If I had told him, no, I really don't like that song, it probably wouldn't have stopped him from liking it. So it's easy to keep liking the stuff that you like, that other people made, even when your loved ones say they don't like it, even when critics say they don't like it, you still like it. But then it comes to your own stuff. And I know it's harder. I'll sometimes play songs that I wrote for my wife, and it's pretty hard for her to hide her disinterest if she doesn't think it's all that great. If she likes it, she goes, oh, that's good. But if she doesn't, she can't really hide it. But it doesn't change how I feel about it, but it's harder to hold on to that belief in our own work when people outside of us say, but I think it's important to remember that in the end of the day, how you feel about work other people created is not so different than the work, how you feel about the work you created, particularly if you let yourself, in creating it, stay true to your own aesthetic. In other words, as you wrote the song or the story or the poem or the screenplay or whatever, if you were clear that the only aesthetic you were trying to satisfy was your own, and if you've done that, at the end of the day, there's nothing better you can do. And you can't change the fact that you like those kinds of stories, those kinds of songs, those kinds of poems, even if people you love and respect don't like them. But you got to stay clear to it. You're not trying to please anybody else. You're trying to satisfy that aesthetic. And if you can, picture the work you create not unlike the work that other people create that you love too. It's the same experience because here's the thing, once you create it and you love it, and you say, okay, it's ready, and you put it out into the world, and other people find it and love it, you will realize that their experience of it is a little different than yours. And it feels like they're listening to a different song, reading a different story, reading a different poem. And you, at that moment, that's when it's clearest to me how like other people, how my reaction to my work is so similar to my reaction to other people's work. In the end of the day, it's all the same stuff. Know that you did it for yourself and that it's no different than other people's work in that way. You create what you love in the same way you listen to what you love, read what you love, watch what you love. It's all the same stuff. Satisfy that aesthetic. It's all you can do. It's all you want to do. It's why you're here. Yeah. Hey, thanks for tuning in. As always, if you don't want to miss anything, hit subscribe. You know the drill. And if you like this, say so. Yeah, I like to hear it from you. So until next week, this is Bill Kenower. Stay fearless.